Hey there, welcome. It's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I am Jerry Usher. Along with the one, the only, Debbie Georgiani. We are here today, and as we do every day, we like to present to you a topic that we hope and pray is of interest to you. Wow, we have had some phenomenal programs this week with your participation, as always. We call it Take Two because we like to take a fresh look, get a unique perspective on the issues that are part of our everyday lives, things that we wake up to every morning, put our feet on the floor, and are meaningful and are part of our lives. So that's what we're doing again here right now today. And today we're going to talk about the new media. Media, by the way, I'm sure you probably know this. Media is a plural word. It's plural for medium. So radio is a medium, and print is a medium, television is a medium. And so when we talk about the media, we are talking about what really have been around, of course, printing for centuries and centuries. And, of course, radio and TV came along, oh gosh, what was it, 100 years ago or so, started to develop. And now with technology, we have the ability to communicate in ways that we never really did over the past several centuries or millennia, and we call it the new media, like things like podcasting and blogging and websites and the like. And we're going to be joined today by someone you probably know very, very well. His name is Patrick Coffin, and Patrick has been the host of Catholic Answers Live since I departed in 2009, and what really kind of drew me out was doing the radio station pledge drives, which, by the way, Debbie and I are in Seattle at Sacred Heart Radio here in the Pacific Northwest. So when you hear your Catholic radio station ask for your help, please be generous, because we really need these outlets to get the faith to our communities and to the world. So it's pledge drive season. So folks, dig deep, be generous, trust God that He will give back to you. And Patrick Coffin is going to be leaving Catholic Answers Live, I believe, after today's program, if I'm not mistaken. We'll find out from him. But he's got a really exciting new media initiative that he is going to be unveiling. And so he's here to talk to us today about the new media and their impact. Patrick, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Jerry and Debbie, thanks for carving out some time on your broadcast. I feel a little bit funereal. You said, when I departed in 2009. Jerry, really? You really left us? No. So it's good to talk to you, brother.
Likewise. In fact, Debbie is just wrapping up the previous hour of the share-a-thon here, so she'll be with us in a minute. But so Patrick, I want to invite our listeners to call 1-800 that's the share-a-thon number, 1-800-585-9396, 1-800-585-9396. If you have any questions about the new media, maybe you feel God is leading you to start a website or a blog or a podcast or something, Patrick Coffin is embarking on that right now, so I'm sure he can give you some good advice, some do's, some don'ts, some things to avoid, maybe some things to try to implement. Or if you have any just questions about how we can use the new media, the old media, any form of media to evangelize our beautiful faith, 1-800-585-9396 is the number. So, yeah, Patrick, just muse a little bit on your years at Catholic Answers. First of all, I know it's been a great run for you. I know from experience.
You do, Jerry. I remember your last day, and I think February or March 2009, and so my mind's drifting back to that liminal handing of the baton. And Jerry, as I know you know, I spent 7.5 years at Catholic Answers Live. Today's my last broadcast as host of the show, and it has been the multiplication of my little loaves and little fishes out to the whole world. And Jerry, I don't know if you and I have talked about this off the air, but I'll mention it now, and that is a single episode of what you and I do on the air reaches more people than all of the life's teaching of St. Paul, by far. And so this great invention of radio by the Catholic teenager Guillermo Marconi has been instrumental in the Church's ability to obey the Lord's commandment in the Great Commission, right? At Matthew chapter 28, to teach all nations. Radio enables that in a literal simultaneous way. Now, if I start cranking through high points, this will be a 9-hour show. But for folks who have fallen in love with Jesus Christ and his church and have grown through the work of apologetics, I can relate. I was brought back to the faith partly by the work of Catholic Answers. Jerry, I go back to the time before This Rock magazine, when it was a newsletter Carl Keating cranked out from his table. And so, it's been amazing. The hardest job I've ever had to step away from. And what I'm stepping away to is a media platform called The Patrick Coffin Show. The website is patrickcoffin.media. I'm doing an Indiegogo campaign, which is basically a crowdfunding way to bootstrap something and to have it go from 0 to 1. So if you want to watch my super short pitch video and read a little bit more about the platform, it's patrickcoffin.media. I'm about halfway through, and the platform is going to be driven by a podcast, which will always be free. I'm going to start off twice a week and hopefully get to one show per day, Monday through Friday. And the sweet spot of this new venture, Jerry, is interviewing top influencers who are not necessarily Catholic, not necessarily evangelists, but whose whole work, whose whole goal in life is to transform people, to help them remove self-imposed barriers to the life that they really should be living and really want to live deep down, whether it is strategies for porn addiction recovery or alcoholism or better time management, getting up in the earlier in the morning with a sense of purpose and, okay, I'm gonna own this day. I'm not just gonna rent it. I'm very, as I know you are, and Debbie is, concerned with the culture crisis and the degradation of the definition of marriage and all the confusion out there. It's sort of dizzying when you look at the news every day. And I want to provide an alternative to all of the humorless, hopeless coverage, and that's sort of my mission with the Patrick Coffin Show. So patrickcoffin.media is the way to connect.
All right. Our guest today, Patrick Coffin, on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Debbie will be joining us here shortly, God willing. And Patrick is, as he mentioned, today is his final day at Catholic Answers Live. Love to have any of you call in. You'll have the opportunity, certainly, on that 2-hour broadcast this afternoon to wish Patrick well and call in and shed a tear or two and tell him how much you'll miss him and ask about his new venture. But you could do that here on this program as well. We're just happy to highlight what Patrick has done and what he is moving into. Our number is 1-800-585-9396. And again, you may have aspirations, thoughts, hopes, dreams of doing a wider scale evangelization yourself. Maybe you're already doing that through Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and goodness, there's a whole long list there, Patrick, as you know. But folks, this is so very important. So if you'd love to just pick Patrick's brain a little bit and say, wow, I'm inspired by what you're doing. What can I do in my little corner of the world? 1-800-585-9396. And Patrick, I know that a move like the one you're making is not made in haste. It's not made with a lot of prayer and discernment. It took me I literally prayed and discerned and talked to the leadership at Catholic Answers for a good 2 or 3 years before we mutually determined that this is where God was leading me. So talk a little bit about the process there, but really kind of with a more forward-looking angle, like what was it that you saw maybe that wasn't being done, or that you could, a niche maybe that you could fill?
That's an excellent question, and my journey is probably similar to yours as far as leaving the deeply satisfying job of being part of life-changing conversations, such as the show that you created, Jerry, from 0 to 1. You and the team built Catholic Answers Live. I showed up 9 years later, inheriting a success story. But in my case, what got me thinking about doing a standalone show as a solopreneur was when I launched Catholic Answers Focus, our podcast. And that enabled me to go deep and long in a single topic or not with a guest whose interest or whose publication or whose mission in life represented a more broad cultural engagement. So, for instance, I would never be able to interview, because the context would have been wrong, and not applicable, two-time Academy Award winner Kevin Costner, Grammy and Emmy winner Harry Connick Jr., the transsexual activist, transgendered Walter Heyer. Walt lived for 7 years as with a woman's identity named Laura Jensen, and then had a conversion to Christ and changed back to his original masculine identity. I just finished an interview with Sohrab Ahmari. Sohrab was from Tehran, Iran, from a sort of a nominal Muslim family. And when Father Jacques Hamel, the French priest who was murdered this past summer, Sohrab jumped up and tweeted, "Okay, today's the day I'm announcing I'm becoming a Roman Catholic." So Sohrab is on his way to entering the church Christ founded. Now, these are all, they're kind of Catholic-ish, but they're not sort of on-the-nose evangelization. And that got me very excited because there are millions of people outside the media sphere that is the great EWTN platform and what you and Debbie do. All of the radio networks are indispensable in strengthening and equipping the faithful. There's no doubt about it. And I hope their tribe increases and multiplies. The calling in my life is to reach people who are maybe more pagans and they're open to being better pagans so that someone else can come along and plant the seeds of the Catholic faith in their soul. So I really believe that the answer to the cultural crisis and all the confusion and all the negativity is to stop and look in the mirror and say, how can I fix that person? How can I restore that person? And of course, all of this is, you could say, stealth evangelization, but I really want to have conversations with people who are making the world a better place through making human persons better people. So then we have restored marriage, which means we can have a chance at restored family, and it spreads outwards. And I'm glad you're bringing up the sort of a call or invitation, Jerry, for people listening to start their own media venture. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be a podcast. It could be a blog. You could be a regular contributor to comment boxes. You can start an Instagram account. Now with the digital revolution, the possibilities are absolutely astounding. You don't need to go through a publisher. You don't have to ask permission. You just have to start, and you'll find your voice. And as you know, Jerry, your listeners will instantly give you feedback, positive or negative. Hopefully,
right.
Apathy, right? So that's a great call. And if folks want to stay connected, it's patrickcoffin.media. As you mentioned, today is my last day on the air. I'm sort of pinching myself, Jerry. I can't take it all in. Maybe I'll take it all in tonight, or on the air I'll completely lose it. Who knows? But I'm just very grateful to Almighty God for loving me and affirming me in my call. And it's just it's been an amazing 7.5 years. I'm looking forward to going forward and doing this new thing in a new way.
Yeah, I'm sure people on your website, Patrick, can find out how they can actually toss a couple dollars your way to help this thing get off the ground.
Yes,
okay.
I've got the lowest perk level is $5. The highest is $5 billion. So if you can write a check for $5,000, whatever it is, you can find everything more at patrickcoffin.media.
All right, Patrick Coffin's our guest. What about you listeners? What is your take? Are you happy that Patrick's doing this? You want to find out a little bit more about his new venture? 800-585-9396.
Colin Donovan.
Entering university, I had the religious understanding of someone catechized in the 1960s. That changed when a fellow freshman asked me if a Catholic could use the pill. My uninformed answer was, sure, why not? I then went and read Pope Paul VI's encyclical Humanae Vitae and concluded, this is truth. I've never looked back in my love of our Catholic faith since.
Open Line with Colin Donovan. Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Watch Raymond Arroyo, Father Mitch Pacwa, Mother Angelica, the Daily Mass, and EWTN Nightly News anywhere in the world for free. Cut the cord. Visit EWTNapps.com and start streaming today.
To get your DVD of the 2016 EWTN Family Celebration special tribute to the life and legacy of Mother Mary Angelica, including the addresses by Raymond Arroyo, Janet Vankovic, Father Wade Menezes, Jim and Joy Pinto, and the special family show, log on to our web store, EWTNRC.com, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and type in item HDA 16 or call 1-800-854-6316.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
You know, there's all kinds of idolatry. If you love yourself more than your neighbor, it's kind of idolatry. We had a lot of idolatry. All the New Agers say everybody's God. I told you, I thought that picture of Mrs. Buddha. Did you ever see that picture of Mrs. Buddha? She didn't call herself that, but she had rolls and rolls of fat like Buddha does sometimes, and she called herself a goddess. That's idolatry. See? I think there are other kinds of idolatry. For example, if a man works so hard he neglects his family, is that a kind of idolatry? You want to get ahead? You're going after a thing. And to the neglect of your family, your children, your loved ones. That's a kind of idolatry.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
Hi, this is Barbara McWiggin.
This is Bishop Joseph Bambera of the Diocese of Scranton.
I'm Brian Patrick, EWTN News Nightly Anchor, and you're listening to the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
As always, we love having you with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Our thanks to the show team. Rich Jesse, our producer. Jeff Burson handles social media for us and other things. And Matt Gabensky, our call screener, I'm not sure if Matt is back with us. He's been a little under the weather lately. So please, we would ask you all very genuinely, say a prayer for Matt. He's a great, great part of the team and our call screener. If you call in, you get to talk to him first. So please say a prayer for Matt, who's been out a little bit the last few days. And we want him back stronger than ever here very soon. I'm Jerry Usher. Debbie Georgianni is with us here. We're at Sacred Heart Radio in Seattle. We're hosting a share-a-thon, and she has just gotten, involved because exciting things are happening here. The phones are ringing, and Debbie is encouraging people to call in. We're hoping she will join me a little bit later on in the broadcast. But we have Patrick Coffin with us. He is and has been the host of Catholic Answers Live for 9.5 years until this afternoon. It's his final Catholic Answers Live broadcast, and if you were with us at the start of the show and since then, you've heard that the new media venture that Patrick is embarking on, which you can find at patrickcoffin.media. The web extension is .media, patrickcoffin.media. All right, PC, Patrick, you ready to go to some calls?
I am. By the way, 7.5 years, not 9. And no, it hasn't felt like 9.
Did I say 9.5?
Yeah, maybe you completed your tenure. But that's cool.
All right.
Yeah, 7.5 years. And by the way, hi, Debbie.
Yep, she probably heard you. She's in another room right now, and but we're going to try to get her on here. But here we go, Patrick. We're going to go to Chicago, listening to EWTN on the app. I hope I get the name right. Walburga? Is it Walburga in Chicago?
Yes.
Hi, Walburga. You're on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie with Patrick Coffin. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. So go right ahead for Patrick.
I listened to Catholic Answers, and that has really, really helped me because I moved here from Africa, and worship and a small Christian community is very difficult to find. So I listened to that, and I have learned a lot from that. So anyway, my question that I have, like when I go help decorate the church, I will take a picture and put on Facebook. I have like a big following on Facebook. But when I put a picture of the church, I hardly have like likes. But if I put a picture of me standing in front of my house, within 1 hour, I'll have like 200 likes. So I just kept doing that. And 3 weeks ago, I started going like for Eucharistic adoration. And after that, I will sit in front of the church and just say like a prayer on video. Like I will video myself saying a prayer, and I'll put it on Facebook. And I have had like 100 likes on those. I have had people comment. I have had people call me and ask me to pray for them. I've had people inbox me privately. Ask me how they can follow to Christ. And, I'm really excited, and I don't really know what to do. I'm kind of scared because the video be like a week old and people still liking it, posting on it, people are sharing it. So I'm just like, I don't know if to stop. I don't know the courage to continue. I'm excited, but I'm kind of scared too. So I don't know if you can help me with what I can do next.
I want to get your name right. Is it Walberga? How do you pronounce your name?
Walberga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Walberga. Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words. It's music to my ears that the show has been a blessing to you. Which African area are you from? Which country?
West Africa is called Cameroon, next to Nigeria.
Cameroon. Okay, sure. I'm from Canada originally. I remember watching Cameroon athletes on the Olympics. So thank you very much for the call. It sounds like you're suffering a little bit of a very, it's not rare, and in some ways it's understandable. It sounds like you've got a bit of successophobia. You post things, and you're finding people are resonating with it, and they want to see more, and you're engaging them. They have access to you, and obviously you're praying for them, and that's the beginning of a conversation loop. I think Facebook is a very good platform for the initial contact and getting likes and getting people to friend you. I don't find Facebook all that successful or appropriate for dialogue, however. It's very easy for conversations to get misunderstood and go south or become kind of angry. This happens all. Jerry, I'm sure you can't relate to this at all on Facebook.
No.
Perfectly peaceful forum.
Civil, very civil.
Yes. You could start a YouTube channel. You could do a Facebook Live session where you're literally live to the people that follow you. But, I find that people respond and send likes and hearts and that sort of thing to things that they love. So if they're sending messages and acknowledging a picture of you in front of, a tree or a flag or a house or a church, they're connecting with you. If you send something explicitly faith-based, they may not resonate with that, but it doesn't mean they don't appreciate it. I would just say keep doing what you're doing and let it grow organically. Don't try to, my little phrase here is don't push the river. If God wants to be behind you taking bigger steps, you will know it. You'll know it by your desire and its increase, and also by signs that, this is clicking with people. This is making contact with other people. So I hope that's a help.
Yeah, Walberga, thank you very much. Thanks for what you're doing, too, by the way. Keep it up. Every little bit counts, and it sounds like you're reaching a lot of people. So you've been an inspiration to us, and we hope that you will keep that up. Thanks for the call from Chicago. We appreciate that. 1-800-585-9396. Take two with me, Jerry, and here's Debbie. Debbie Georgiani is now with us. Hey, Deb, how you doing?
Oh, my goodness. I just wanted to call in because I heard this rumor. Is it true Patrick Coffin's leaving Catholic Answers Live?
Alas, it is true, Debbie. It's totally surreal. I gave you a shout-out. You didn't even get a wave from you, so I'm very hurt. But I forgive you because I'm a Christian.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, there was no way because when I heard the news, I was just so shocked. I think the device I was using to connect to the show just must have crashed and died on me. I had to run to a phone so I could just speak to you one last time.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Debbie. I'm launching out into the deep with PatrickCoffin.media. I'm running an Indiegogo campaign to give it wings. It's a podcast. It's a YouTube channel. I'm going to be doing myth-busting videos called The Fact Is, where in under 3 or 4 minutes, people can, hear the standard misunderstandings. Let's say the Crusades or the overpopulation myth, or the Inquisition, or the founding of the country, and various faith-based aspects, but also social and cultural questions. I love the idea of myth-busting, so I'm kind of going more broad cultural engagement. Obviously not, I don't want folks to misunderstand. I'm not leaving the faith or, jettisoning my Catholic backdrop. Not at all. I'm just giving it wings so that it scratches people where they itch on a more personal level. And I'm thrilled. I'm excited. And it's bittersweet to be here the last day of my broadcast after 7.5 years. So thank you for the kind words, Debbie.
All right, take two with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Radio. Patrick Coffin, our guest, talking about the new media. Any questions you have are fair game. Let us hear from you.
Rory's an incredibly fit young man in training with the Marines. One of his comrades is flat out chubby. During training, they had to do 60 burpees in 8 minutes. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's a painful exercise. Marines were snickering at Rory's friend, and he was about to give up. Rory got right in his face and shouted above all the other voices, "You look at me. All you see is me. All you hear is my voice. You can do this." And he did. A week later, Rory's commander gave him the challenge. "Everyone do 60 burpees in 8 minutes. Rory, you do 80 burpees in 6 minutes. At the end of his strength and unable to go on, his friend ran out of nowhere to his side. "Rory, you look at me. You can do this." And he did. When life's exhausting you and negative voices cause self-doubt to creep in, Jesus is there at your side, shouting at you, "You listen to me. All you hear is me. All you see is me. You can do this." Listen to him, friends. This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
60 Seconds with Father Mitch Pacwa.
You can only say that you're saved in Christ and that you act in cooperation with Him. That's the only way you can do it. And God's plan has ordained that the efficacy of the exercise of the ministry is also conditioned by a greater or lesser human receptivity and participation. Now let me go through that. The way that God set things up is that how efficacious, how well the sacraments work, if you will, and how well we cooperate with them depends on how much more we receive or how much less we receive. Are we receptive or are we closed-minded? I can pour a bucket of water over your head, but if your mouth isn't open, you're not going to get a drink. Same thing here. If your mind and heart are not open to Jesus, I can pour infinite amounts of grace all over you, but you're not going to receive a saving grace. That's what's key here.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
Want to thank you for listening today. As always, your takes, more of them coming right up. Patrick Coffin is with us, departing Catholic Answers Live after his broadcast today, which, by the way, is 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Patrick, you've got open forum Q&A today, I believe.
Yeah, the first hour will be Jimmy Aiken and I doing our famous or notorious banter and taking calls in the first hour. And our president, Chris Check, has some kind of what he describes as a festive surprise. I'm not sure what that is, but I've been instructed to sit in the guest chair, and Chris is going to host my last hour, so that should be fun. I'm kind of buckling up for readiness for anything, so that should be fun and bittersweet for sure.
6 to 8 p.m. right here on EWTN Radio. All right, Stephen, we're going to get to you in just a second, and Kathleen and Patty. But Debbie Georgiani is with us. Again, she's got a little bit of a technical glitch with what is called a Comrex. We use little Comrex units via the Internet. And Deb is going to get back, actually, to the Sacred Heart Radio Share-a-thon. Deb, you just wanted to say a little wave goodbye to Patrick, I guess.
I do. I just want to wish you all the best, Patrick. You're going to be great, and you're going to be touching many, many more souls and bringing them closer to God, and we wish you all the best. Whatever we can do to support you, you know you have a friend with us, and thank you for being on today. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you the whole entire time, but it's out of my control, so I'll be just listening in spirit with your conversation, and God bless you, Patrick. Stay in touch.
Debbie, thank you very much. Let me thank Debbie publicly. She arranged to have me interview one of my childhood mentors in magic and mentalism, the amazing Kreskin. I'm probably one of the very few people who have both interviewed Kreskin and been interviewed by him. So that kind of puts me in a strange who's who category. And so I thank you, Debbie, and keep up the super pro work.
Oh, thank you so much, Patrick, and you take care. We'll talk soon when I can have a better connection. And please pray for the Share-a-thon that's going on right now in Seattle. We're having a great response from the listeners, and so I'm going to continue that. You guys continue this discussion.
Thanks, Deb.
Debbie.
All right, speaking of Seattle, that's where Stephen is listening to Sacred Heart Radio, EWTN Radio, for our Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Stephen, you are on now with Patrick Coffin. Thanks for your patience there, Stephen. Welcome.
Sure. Thank you, Jerry and Patrick, for taking my call.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Stephen.
I'd really like to say I'm privileged to have both of you on the phone at the same time to thank both of you, because I was a seminary-trained Protestant, and local radio in Seattle here, one Protestant station would play just sermons, and I was searching the radio one day, and I came across somebody named Jerry Usher, and he was interviewing an apologist, and that's what I had my degree in, and I started listening, and it was about theology, it was about church history, it was about all the types of things that you talk about on Catholic Answers, and that was more interesting, and that's what drew me into the Catholic Church. It took a while, and now I'm just converting. But I remember back when Jerry was the host, and when he decided to leave to do the show about having new priests and things, I thought, wow, who's ever going to be able to replace Jerry? And then Patrick came along, and, you know, after a week or two, your personality just caught on, and it was fun to listen to. And bringing the humor into the show was always a good thing to keep my interest. And I learned the name of so many new phenomenons, such as the last caller, successophobia, and there's probably a list of 50 more. So I really want to thank both of you and thank Patrick, and I will definitely be supporting your Patrick Coffin Media and the work that you're doing there. And I guess my question is coming, when you do your new show and you talk to top influencers, sometimes people have a lot of good ideas, like on how to get out the message and how to do evangelism and things like that. And I was wondering if you were going to be able to try to take some of those ideas and apply them and try to convince Catholics of how they might be able to use some of these other ideas to reach people. Because, you know, when the Catholic Church, we love the Eucharist, and we as Catholics understand the Eucharist is all about, you know, worshiping God and receiving Him. But a lot of times when we talk about how do we evangelize new people, that we should have programs that greet new people and keep track of them and say hi to them. And then there's sometimes a debate, you know, going back and forth saying that, you know, that's not what it's all about. But I would be really interesting how you're going to take top influences maybe who aren't Catholic, but then be able to use their message for us in the Catholic world to evangelize others, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, Stephen. Yeah, thanks for asking. My conviction here is that Catholics of varying degrees of adherence to the faith and people with no particular faith at all we all have one thing in common, and that is we want to be happy. We want to be better than we are now. We all feel the gap. If we're normal, if we're functioning the way we should, we feel that gap between what we are now and our habits and our behaviors and our instincts and our kind of default setting and where we want to be. No one wants to be a worse person. We all have a natural desire to be stronger and better and more loving and more forgiving, more tolerant of people's foibles and so on. So if I can interview an atheist who, and I'll give you a prime example, I intend to reach out to a guy called Alexander Rhodes. Alexander is an atheist, and he has founded a Reddit community on the internet. It's called nofap.com. Now, fapping is a kind of a street term or kind of an internet-based term for masturbation. And nofap.com is a community of secular folks. This is not a religious Bible, Jesus, Pope thing at all, but it's a community of people who realize that the sexual disorder in their lives were making them very unhappy. And people at nofap.com find hope connecting with others who have found the joy of, what are they living? They're living the joy of chastity, and they're doing it without an explicitly religious framework. So that would be a good example of kind of reaching outside the Catholic sphere, if you will, and bringing people along to a solution that might resonate with them. Another guest I'll be interviewing is David Allen. David Allen wrote a book that changed my life. I don't know what Mr. Allen's background is. He's made some allusions to Buddhism, but that's sort of secondary. The book is called Getting Things Done, The Art of Stress-Free Productivity. And as someone who has the ADHD trait, that book was a big life changer. So those are a couple of examples of on the surface, non-Catholic themes, but really have a deeper resonance with people in the practical workaday world, and kind of tips and tricks to help get your life in gear and going in the right direction. Does that make sense?
A lot of sense. Thank you. I'll really be looking forward to hearing the show, and I just want to thank you both again.
Great.
Thank you, Stephen.
Words.
Yeah,
Thanks,
appreciate the very kind words. You are most welcome. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. All right, we're going to get over to Kathleen. Hold on, you're right after Patty. You're both in Michigan, actually, listening to EWTN Radio on Ave Maria Radio. So we'll go to Patty next. Patty, you're on Take Two with our guest Patrick Coffin. Thanks for waiting, and how are you today?
I am just fine. A little sad when I heard that Patrick is leaving, but I want to bless you, Patrick, in your new venture. You will be awesome.
Thank you very much, Patty.
I'll miss your voice, and I'll miss your crazy humor and all your wonderful guests. But I have to thank you. I came back into the church 6 years ago, and it was because I was listening to your show on other Catholic radio, and you had several guests on over annulment. And I called in, and I believe it was you and Father Serpa that were on that night, and you said, just don't be afraid, do it. And I did. I found a very good deacon, Deacon Leach, who was incredible to work with, and my pastor of 6 years now, Father John Ricardo, grabbed us every Sunday and would just say, could you feel the grace? And we did. It was a 17-month process, but it was every minute worth going through. I highly recommend it to anybody that's fearful. And Patrick, I have to thank you personally because you were instrumental. And thank you. You'll be missed.
Yeah, Patty, it takes a lot to make me speechless, but I except for thank you so much, music to my ears. I'm so happy to hear it had a good ending, and you did it. You got to the finish line, and by God's grace, you just took it one day at a time. I'm sure some days it was 1 minute at a time. So I'm glad.
It was 35 years journey, and we came back through the Orthodox Church and right into the Catholic Church. And, I mean, as I said, you were instrumental, and a Romanian monk was also. And I thank you so very much, and God bless you, and you are in my prayer book.
Thanks, Patty. Romanian monk and Catholic or Canadian host. 2 peas in a pod. Thanks for the kind words, Patty.
What a tag team.
Welcome.
Thanks, Patty. God bless you. All right, anybody else? We got Patrick Coffin with us today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. 1-800-585-9396. Talking about Patrick's new venture. You will find it at patrickcoffin.media. Today, if you hadn't heard, is his last day hosting Catholic Answers Live. And I know well the emotions that go along with a day like that. So if you'd like to just offer your own little kudo to Patrick for hosting, or find out more about his new media venture, or just new media in general. What are they? How can we better utilize them to really not just, well, there's two purposes here. One, counter a lot of the junk that's out there, but also on the positive, proactive side, just be evangelizing a world that is really living in the sort of the electronic age, if you will. 1-800-585-9396. All right, Kathleen, thank you for waiting. You're also in Michigan listening to EWTN Radio on Ave Maria Radio on your iPad. Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for taking my call, Jerry. And
sure.
And Patrick, we will miss you, definitely. I love your humor very much in listening to the evangelization that goes on Catholic radio. So I do have a question for you about your new venture, and I ask God's blessings for you on it. I find it very exciting that you're going and doing an outreach, because in the back of my mind and in my heart, I'd like to do an outreach to maybe the younger generation, and I'm talking very young, to bring back parents that have fallen away from the Catholic Church through different types of maybe animation and a couple of other things. And I was thinking of maybe also doing a blog, but in just listening to your conversations, it sounds like maybe a YouTube channel might be a preferred route of technology, possibly,
well,
to venture into that?
Yes and yes. I believe that your voice can be received in 3 different ways: by reading your thoughts through your writing, and that could be a transcription of a show that you're doing, hearing it through iTunes, or in my case at patrickcoffin.media, or watching it on YouTube. I'm going to be doing all of the above. I'll be speaking and writing. I'll be filming all my interviews So they'll be available to be seen and to be heard. And so I don't think it's wise. I'm not saying you're saying this, but I don't think it's wise to just stick with one thing. If you don't have abundant camera fear, then you'll be surprised at how much you have to say and say it better than you think you're able to. And so I'm a big enchilada guy. I think all of the above is the best way to go. And it's funny you mentioned young people bringing their parents back. I remember saying, you'll appreciate this, Jerry. Back when John Paul II was still a Holy Father, St. John Paul the Great, there was a meme flying around Facebook, and it was a picture of the Holy Father, and it said, John Paul II, keeping our parents Catholic since 1978. In other words, helping young people evangelize their parents, because this is a very strange phenomenon that has not happened a lot in church history, where a whole generation, in our case, millennials and maybe some of the Generation X, who are coming to Christ, who are not fighting the ideological battles of the 60s and 70s, they are really on fire, but their parents were kind of raised in what Bishop Barron has called the beige Catholicism of the 60s and 70s, and it's a beautiful thing. And Jerry, I appreciated your word origin comments at the top of the show today. Media is plural, right? Plural of medium. But you and I, Kathleen, we are the medium. It's not just the things we do and say. It's us. It's our smile. It's our kindness. And ultimately, that's what converts people. It's not arguments. It's not being a debate champion for Christ. It's being kind and unremittingly patient. So I say, keep going and all the above. Does that make sense?
It does. And just one more quick little thing. So if I go on your website, I might be able to get ideas of which route I should take or try for
I think so. Right now, it's a landing page to the Indiegogo campaign, but it's being built now as ultimately a membership site. But if you go to patrickcoffin.media and click on the link, you can watch a really quick pitch video. And throw a couple shekels my way. It's going to be listener supported. I got a fax earlier. Santa Claus is not underwriting this. So,
really? Wow.
I understand. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and God bless you in your new adventure.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate
Thanks, Kathleen. I'm sure you'll take shekels and drachmas and lira and dollars and used cars and casino chips, right?
Yes, and YMCA locker nickels. Just no wooden nickels. Denarii, anything, Jerry. Yes.
Patrick Coffin with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Okay, next up, Marianne, listening to EWTN Radio in North Carolina. Thanks, Marianne, Sirius XM 130. Good to have you with us. And Patrick Coffin. Hi, Marianne.
Hi. Listen, this dovetails right into that last caller, and just thanks for all you do, because, yes, you can say that thanks that the children are keeping their family Catholic, but you guys are doing a great job, and just the fact that you have that website, Patrick, it not only inspires me, but my daughter, who's 14, who's constantly listening to Catholic radio with me, and just like, oh, Mom, but has the ideas of what you're talking about. Just the comedic stance. I was cracking up over the last call, and it showed that ability that you have to draw people in, as well as the humor and to keep people on their toes. And it's just such a great evangelization tool, and to then spread it to the younger generation. That's what they're all about, is everything you're doing, and to encourage them. I mean, I can't wait to tell my daughter, because she's going to go, Patrick Coffin again. I'm going, listen to this. Listen to what you can do by going to his website. So thank you.
Marianne, your daughter. I have a 14-year-old daughter, and if I have a smartphone issue, I just hand it to her.
Yeah.
And inside of 10 seconds, it's solved. Young people's brains, I believe this to be true. I don't know if there's data to support it, but the fact that they're so connected with the World Wide Web through their smartphones, it's almost like their mind is processing information in a different way from, say, Jerry and I, where we grew up reading and watching the TV and so on. Everything is hyperkinetic, and we can say, it's a bunch of ADHD. Well, in a way, that's true, but this is the new way of connecting. It's the Twitter generation. If you can't say what you mean in under 140 characters, you may you may want to recalibrate so it becomes a zinger, like an unforgettable message that's short and sweet. So I would encourage your daughter just to keep going. There's no reason why she can't, launch her own podcast or her own blog. And the need for teen-to-teen witness is absolutely astounding. How a teenager will listen to someone else that's is cool and hip and kind of smart, more than a well-meaning adult like me trying to, sound relevant and hip, but really kind of nerdy, wearing a polyester cardigan or something. So I would say to your daughter, excellent job, and just go for it, and just say yes. Give the Lord a blank check.
How's that, Marianne?
Fabulous. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you for calling. Appreciate it. Take two with Jerry and Debbie and Patrick Coffin today on this his last day at Catholic Answers Live, but he is not. It's not goodbye. It is just. Hey, you can catch me over here now at patrickcoffin.media. And Patrick, I forgot to mention on this show that we now have ability for our listeners to text the show, and you can do that, folks. Text the letters EWTN to 55000, and you will get just wait briefly, get a response, and then you can put in your name and your comment or your question. Beware that data rates may apply. That's between you and your phone provider. But Margot sent a text in, Patrick, which I find a very insightful question. What do you think would be Venerable Fulton Sheen's reaction to the new media that we're experiencing in our century?
I think Venerable Fulton Sheen would be on Twitter and Instagram, and on YouTube, and on Smoke Signal, and on Campbell's Soup Can.
That's right.
Bishop Sheen was the kind of primeval Catholic evangelist of mass media. He was the first bishop on the air. The 1928 show, The Catholic Hour, ran on NBC on secular airwaves. This is before the first global Catholic radio broadcast, which was in February of 1930, when Pius XI made an international broadcast, introduced, by the way, by Marconi himself, the inventor of radio. That's a very interesting story. So Bishop Sheen is my spiritual father. He's my mentor, and we share not only an odd physical resemblance, but we share a love of trying to make Christ better known and loved through whatever means, within the moral law, of course, necessary to reach people. So I think he would be all over the panoply we see around us of opportunities for evangelization. So great question.
Well, yeah, I agree with that, Patrick. And a lot of people would say they would even go back further than that to St. Paul. Paul used what was the new media at that time, which was shouting at the top of your lungs in the Areopagus. So, and this raises a good point, Patrick, in our last 2 or 3 minutes here. If we're not using these new media, I just simply say, shame on us, because we're going to lose the fight for souls. Is that radical to say, or what?
Well, I think the fact, Jerry, that it's all free, that you can access an account, you can start a YouTube channel, except for the cost of the equipment and let's say a WordPress host. All the tools are free. Most of the great apps are under $2, and maybe the fact that it's not expensive means people kind of psychologically think, oh, well, how good can it be? It's free, and so we take it for granted. No, these are free gifts that we have to pick up. They're tools. They're you can say they're swords in the spiritual battle, if you will. And I agree, Jerry. Look at yourself in the mirror. What can I do? Well, it's right in front of you. We have an enormous opportunity through the internet and the invention of the modem to reach thousands and thousands and thousands in one fell swoop. So, again, I'm glad you're saying it's not goodbye. You can reach me, hey, I'm over here. So go to, patrickcoffin.media is the way to connect and stay in touch.
All right, I know you're just kind of launching that new initiative. Are there shows in the can, as they say, or when might people expect kind of a debut video or podcast?
That's a great question, Jerry. I do have 2 in the can. I'd like to roll 10 or 12 up and get them ready. I'm hoping by the end of October, and I'll be doing some pre-launch announcements to have the first edition. The problem is, who first, right? It's like, which of the children do you love the most? Episode 1 will be an overview of who I am for people who don't know. Did you know that people actually don't know who Patrick Coffin is, Jerry? I just read this the other day. I couldn't believe it, but it's true.
Yeah, well, I can hardly imagine that, but it is possible.
So I'll do a kind of an overview bio, kind of this is me and this is what I want to do and this is what you can expect, and this is the kind of value bombs I'll be dropping at a consistent rate. So I hope within a couple of weeks I'm getting a script finished for the intro, laying in some music and some really funny fake celebrity endorsements I think people are going to enjoy as well.
Only from you, Patrick. Only from you. This is going to be great. I can't wait. I'm going to be a regular follower of what you're doing, and really just appreciate, people, some of our callers today, Patrick, have alluded to, of course, my departure from Catholic Answers, and I think it was Stephen who said, boy, he didn't know who was going to take the reins, and I remember when we had so many people come in, and you were one of them on audition, and I just felt, you know what, this is right. The show is going to be in good hands, and as the creator of the show, you can appreciate that there was and remained a concern that the show maintained its quality, and you have just you've taken it to new levels. In fact, you've really taken the show way beyond what it was when I was there. So I thank you for that, for kind of caring for my baby and helping it mature.
Well, thank you, Jerry. I deliberately decided not to try to fill size 13 triple wide shoes and just do it as I saw it, and I'm too chicken-hearted to go back and listen to my first week or so, because let's just say it probably will not win a Pulitzer Prize for broadcast journalism. Steep learning curve, but as you know, when you do something 10,000 times, you can't help but get better at it. So thanks for the kind words. It means a lot.
You're welcome. Patrick Coffin, he is at patrickcoffin.media. Folks, he's got a funding campaign going on. Give him a boost today, will you please? Would you go over there right now to patrickcoffin.media? He is really one of the bright lights in Catholic media, and he's taking on some new opportunities. I'm going to put it that way, and you'll find all about it at patrickcoffin.media. Hey, Patrick, thanks for being with us today. You got to have me and Debbie on your show, right?
That would be fun, Richard. I'll never forget you and Teresa.
All right, fantastic. See, I ask you on Global Radio so that you're on the hook. What's that?
No, just one more thing. I'm also on Facebook at patrickcoffin.media. So there's a public Facebook page you can connect that way as well.
All right. Bless you, my friend. We'll be talking soon. Patrick Coffin. Okay. Tomorrow on Take Two, we hope to have Debbie's connection back with us. We're going to do something quite different from today. We're going to talk about friends versus family. We get to pick our friends, but not our families. And sometimes, there could be stressors in families and things like that we don't have among our friends. So we're going to contrast those and get your take on that. Please go to take2show.com, click on the yellow J&D button. That'll get you to the Jerry and Debbie website. God bless. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.